The first thing I saw when I opened my eyes wasn't the white hospital ceiling or the blinking machines beside my bed. It was my ex-girlfriend's mother sitting silently in the corner, clutching an old leather envelope so tightly her knuckles had turned white. The moment our eyes met, tears filled hers. She stood slowly, walked toward me, and whispered words that shattered everything I believed about my past. "There was something Emily never told you, and after today, I can't keep the secret anymore." Until that moment, I thought surviving the accident would be the hardest battle of my life. I had no idea the real storm was only beginning. Sometimes life doesn't break your heart with tragedy alone. Sometimes it waits until you're too weak to run, then places a truth in front of you that changes every memory you've ever held dear. This is a story about love that refused to disappear, mistakes that lasted for years, and a promise powerful enough to survive even when two people couldn't stay together. If you've ever wondered whether one hidden truth could rewrite an entire life, stay with me until the end. Before we begin, if you enjoy emotional and inspiring stories like this, make sure to support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories of kindness, hope, and humanity. Pain spread through every muscle as I tried to sit up, but the nurse gently stopped me. "Easy," she said with a kind smile. "You've been unconscious for almost 2 days." My head pounded as scattered memories returned. Rain. Screeching tires. Bright headlights. Then nothing. I looked back toward Mrs. Carter, the woman who had once treated me like family before Emily and I ended our relationship 3 years earlier. She looked older now, as if the weight of countless sleepless nights rested on her shoulders. "I know you must have questions," she said quietly. "But before I answer any of them, I need you to promise you'll listen until I'm finished." I nodded, confused. "Where's Emily?" Mrs. Carter lowered her eyes. "She doesn't know I'm here." That answer only deepened the mystery. Emily and I hadn't spoken since our painful breakup. We had loved each other deeply, but life had pulled us in different directions. At least, that's what I had believed. She accepted a job across the country, and one heartbreaking conversation ended everything. We cried, hugged each other goodbye, and promised not to make the separation even harder by staying in contact. It felt impossible then, but eventually the silence became normal. Mrs. Carter placed the old envelope on my hospital bed. It looked worn, as though it had been opened and closed hundreds of times over the years. "These belong to you," she whispered. Inside were dozens of letters. Every envelope had my name written in Emily's familiar handwriting. None of them had ever been mailed. My hands trembled as I stared at the stack. "What is this?" Mrs. Carter closed her eyes before answering. "Emily wrote to you every month after you separated. Every birthday. Every Christmas. Every anniversary of the day you first met. She never stopped." I couldn't breathe. Why didn't she send them? "Because." Mrs. Carter's voice cracked. I begged her not to. The room fell silent except for the steady rhythm of the heart monitor. She buried her face in her hands. I thought I was protecting her. I stared at the woman who had once welcomed me into her family with homemade dinners and warm hugs. None of this made sense. She slowly explained. Months before Emily left, doctors had discovered an aggressive heart condition. It wasn't immediately life-threatening, but surgery carried enormous risks. Emily feared spending years in hospitals while I abandoned my own dreams to care for her. She wanted me to build the future we had always imagined, even if it meant building it without her. I told her, Mrs. Carter whispered through tears, that if she truly loved you, she should let you go before your life became tied to endless uncertainty. So the breakup. It wasn't because she stopped loving you. The words hit harder than the accident ever could. Mrs. Carter continued. She wanted to tell you everything that day. She even brought the medical reports with her. But I convinced her that watching you walk away angry would hurt less than watching you sacrifice everything. I closed my eyes as memories flooded back. Emily had cried more than I remembered. She kept trying to say something before stopping herself. I had mistaken her silence for doubt. Now I realized it had been heartbreak. Mrs. Carter gently picked up the first letter. She never stopped writing because writing was the only way she could still talk to you. I unfolded the oldest page. The ink had faded slightly. Dear Noah, today I saw a man wearing the same blue jacket you always loved, and for one impossible second I thought it was you. I smiled before I remembered that some distances are bigger than highways. I hope you're eating properly. I hope someone reminds you to wear a coat when winter comes because you never listen to weather forecasts. Tears blurred the words. Another letter spoke about the apartment she rented. Another described a stray dog she almost adopted because it reminded her of the puppy we once dreamed of owning together. Another simply read, if love alone could heal people, I would already be healthy. I couldn't stop crying. Years of unanswered questions suddenly had answers I never expected. Mrs. Carter reached into her purse once more. There is one last thing. She handed me a small silver key attached to a faded blue ribbon. You remember the lake cabin? Of course I did. It was where Emily had first told me she loved me beneath a sky full of stars. She still owns it, her mother said softly. She goes there every year on the same weekend you proposed, even though the wedding never happened. I stared at the tiny key resting in my palm. Why are you telling me this now? Mrs. Carter looked toward the hospital window. Because when I heard about your accident, I realized I almost let two good people spend an entire lifetime believing they weren't loved enough. She wiped away another tear. I've carried this guilt for years. Before I could respond, my hospital room door slowly opened. A familiar voice froze every thought inside my mind. Mom, what are you doing here?